I do want to tell you, we lived in Calcutta for 8 years. And when you get constantly bombarded by the abject level of poverty in which people live, you get kind of insensitive to it. And therefore, when you speak about hope in the pandemic, one of the things I am beginning to understand, and of course, my age will remain secret for the time being. But if you've lived very long, you get kind of desensitized to things which are happening around you. But I would definitely agree that this pandemic has shaken all of us, young and old, and particularly there are some scenes which are strongly imprinted on my mind. And that was when our Prime Minister suddenly announced the lockdown last year in the month of March. And all the trains were stopped and there were no buses. And a city like mine, where Pune, where our real estate, of course, grinds to a halt. And most of the workers here are from other states. And you can, even now, I can visualize these people trudging back. And in one of our cities, Aurangabad, some laborers who slept on the railway track thinking that there'll be no train, they were killed, some 17 of them. Now, when you think of some of these things, not the pandemic itself, but things which result from the pandemic, I think you really become hopeless. You find that there are questions for which there seem to be no immediate answers. And I do want to tell you that there was a very good research done by a particular group of people in Europe, because let me frankly say that at no time in the past, vaccines have been developed so quickly. That is a positive side for hope, but it also created reasons for people to come up with conspiracy theories. There were some people, there was a Wuhan lab which deliberately leaked out the virus. And in this, even respectable names like Anthony Fauci and all are involved in this. They were all part of this whole gang that they wanted to make money. And of course, they said funds went from here to there and all that. Now, in the midst of this, I want to tell you that even when you have such a hopeful thing, my wife and I have had both our vaccine shots, and Pune has the reputation of having the Serum Institute of India, which is the world's largest vaccine producer. I mean, we just turn out billions of vaccines of all kinds to many, many countries in the world. And so, I mean, that's a sign of hope. It was run by Adar Poonawalla, a Parsi gentleman, a philanthropist. And so that is something that gives you hope. We do begin to see that there are aspects of even this pandemic which give us hope. For example, in that short clip about Maharashtra that Andrew showed you, you'll find the name of Sonu Sood. He did a lot of things. He, for example, arranged transport for migrant laborers. Now, Sonu Sood belongs to the BJP, and our government in Maharashtra is kind of anti-BJP, although the Shiv Sena magazine wrote something against Sonu Sood. But our chief minister, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, he got himself photographed along with Sonu Sood. To me, when political forces come together to fight a common battle against a pandemic, that is surely a sign of hope. And I do want to emphasize not just individuals, but communities. Communities like the Sikh community, which opened up langars, not just in India. I don't know whether you saw Punjabis in the US, because of course, Americans, everybody has a car. So they were waiting in queue to get tested, to get vaccinated. And they had no way to leave the car and go and get some food. So there were these Sikh communities which established langas, it is called in Hindi, which is a free place where they cook and distribute food. And so that is an amazing thing, the community coming together and without any reference to caste, creed, or religion or faith, they were coming to help us. But what I want to do is, of course, I have given a couple of questions to Nivedita, which she might ask you. But before that, I want to tell you, when you look at this pandemic makes all of us to be philosophers. You do not have to have a philosophy degree. Now, philosophy is a peculiar subject. Normally, students do not like to take philosophy because philosophers wear thick glasses and philosophy books are in small print. And both are very discouraging as a kind of encouragement to study. But philosophies, for example, Maharashtra has registered probably the highest number of farmer suicides during the past few years. So when the monsoon fails, this year we've had a good monsoon. When the monsoon fails, a farmer asks a philosophical question. What is the wrong that I did in this life or in the previous life that I'm reaping the consequences? So people do ask philosophical questions. I want to place before you 4 possibilities. When I look at the world around, I look at the TV, I read the newspaper, I hear news, rumors, I feel a prevalence of hatred. Unfortunately, these days, in the wind, people are feeling threatened, majorities, minorities, everybody is feeling threatened. So you begin to want to assess the world. And I want to place before you, this is not a question, this is for you to think about. But I do want to listen to people. One of the reasons why I had no hesitation in accepting the invitation for this program is that I want to listen to you people. Sometimes people ask me, how do you manage to keep so young? And I'll give you, it is not some anti-aging cream or anything like that. It is because I relate to young people, and you young people keep me young by picking my brain all the time. And it's a good thing. So I want to place 4 things before you. When you look at the world around you, is this an all bad world? Because this pandemic, apart from the fact that some of the positive things, human beings have really come up to help their fellow human beings, which is an amazing thing. But is it an all bad world? I had a colleague in the government who was such a pessimist that we had a joke about him. Mr. So-and-so cannot see anything positive, even in a plus sign. I don't know whether you have come across pessimists of that kind. Is this an all bad world? No, I don't think it's an all bad world. Is it an all good world? I don't think anyone is such an optimist as to say this is an all good world. About 100 years ago, the beginning of the 20th century, people were adopting the third option, which is that it is a bad world which is becoming progressively better and ultimately will become perfect. What is called utopia, with the discovery of medicine, science, technology, radio, television. People thought that things would progressively become better and we will have the perfect world. But then came the First World War, 1914-18, Second World War, 1939-45, and Hiroshima, Nagasaki, August of 1945, when bombs were dropped on these 2 Japanese cities. And people have now come to this 4th conclusion, which I don't want to kind of impose upon you, but think about it. It looks to me like it is a good world gone bad, a good world gone bad. And so I want to leave you with a final issue. Do we need to look for an answer from beyond our own existence for the question of hope? I am a student of engineering. I did my postgraduate PG. We were the first MTech batch from IIT Madras. I did my bachelor's before IIT was started in Madras. I did my bachelor's from Coimbatore, and we were the first MTech batch. And at our convocation in July 1966, our convocation speaker was Sir C.V. Raman. He made a brilliant statement. It impressed me very much. He said, when you engineers and technologists leave this institute, you will be tempted to prostitute your knowledge for the service of human greed. What we meant by that, as I thought through this, and you can find to access the IIT Madras website, you can find the entire text of his talk, although he spoke without notes. You find that knowledge is a very good thing, but knowledge unfortunately offers you ethical options, whether to use that knowledge for good or for ill. Sir C.V. Raman was part of the movement of atomic physicists who wanted to ban the production of nuclear weapons. So that's why he spoke very passionately about it. And so you have a very interesting mix in the world around. There are good things happening, there are bad things happening, and you would not know a bad to be bad unless you have some idea of good, which is why I gave you the fourth option. This looks to me to be a good world gone bad, which is crying out for questions like what you want to address during this panel. So thank you very much for listening to me now.